Hi, my name's Margie Dangerfield. I'm a registered nurse, midwife, and independent Zinzino partner. My team and I have helped now almost 4,000 people using Zinzino's test-based nutritional protocols. In this video, I'm bringing you an industry leader and an expert in their field who's integrating Zinzino's personalized biomarker testing to support and improve their clinical outcomes. So, if you're ready to move beyond guesswork and elevate your health or your patient outcomes with data-driven strategies, you're in the right place.
So good evening, everybody. So I'm Dr. Yvette Tan. I started calling myself the Love Physician in 2021, since COVID. Because the COVID situation sort of woke me up and actually crystallized the kind of medicine that I was practicing. So I work with patients with complex medical needs and mental health issues. And I literally teach them to love their body back to health. So today I will share with you my healing strategy and how the Zinzino products fit into it all. So I've come to realize very early in the piece that the body is not stupid, and that the body is always doing its best to serve us in the hierarchy of safety, and then rest, and then repair, restore, resilience, and then flourish. Always in that order, okay? It is always working towards homeostasis, which is balance within the body and harmony within the body, allowing us to be in harmony with our internal and external environment. It is an intelligent, closed system that is actively adapting to our environment for our survival and also for our flourishing. And the body is the creator's work of art, magnificent design. We are a magnificent design, and we would do well to treat it with respect. So the way I approach health and healing would be always with respect to the body. And healing doesn't have to be difficult or tedious. We just need to go as upstream as possible. So I like this picture here because it shows, the more upstream we go, the more we hit all different aspects of what the body needs. So the key to loving our body back to health is really understanding the love language of our body. And that's what I teach my patients to do. The body communicates with us through our symptoms. So things like fatigue, pain, headaches, reduced function, brain fog, rash, infections, shortness of breath, dizziness, fever, even cancer. The body's way of communicating to us that, it's wrong way, go back. And sometimes it's a friendly reminder, but if we are deaf to it and we do not consider, or we ignore and we just drive through and push through, then those warnings become louder to the point that it can be quite aggressive or almost like bullying pain that stops us in our track or keep us in bed. Okay. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And so if we put input 1 into our life situation or health situation, then we get output 1, right? And if you want an output 2 because you feel that output 1 is no longer working for you and you want an output 2, then you need to put input 2 into your life situation. Too many people insist on putting input 1 and expecting output 2, and that's never going to happen. So there's something that people need to realize. So the more radically different the input 2 is, the more likely you're going to get a different output 2. But if you insist on doing just, different iterations of input 1, don't expect an output 2. So my job is to help people find the solution as to what would be the input 2 look like. Okay, and this is a metaphor of the big elephant and all the blind men feeling the elephant, and everybody is right. If the elephant has got flappy ears or it's a tail or a trunk, everybody is right, but nobody has got the whole picture. Okay, so it's true in the conventional world of medicine, as well as in the naturopathic world of medicine. We can tend to be in silos of like, oh, it's all Lyme's disease, or it's a mold toxicity, or it's a mitochondrial issue, or it's autoimmunity. Okay, and the danger of this kind of thing is like, if you have a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. So my way of looking at things is I try to go as broad as I can, and then working from that big paradigm. So from my wide reading, as I go down as many rabbit holes I need to satisfy that I've covered as much of the elephant as I can, I've concluded that if there are chronic disease symptoms that are not going away, there are three imbalances there. Never one, never two, always three, because the body is amazingly resilient. It can heal itself of anything if we gave it what it needed and got out of the way. And if the body is still stuck with a chronic disease, it's probably because, we have an imbalance that we have not addressed. So the three imbalances are the physical imbalance, the biochemical imbalance, and the emotional imbalance. And these are the three legs of a chronic disease. It all has to be there. At the physical imbalance level, there will be the gut issues, the detoxification issues, immune system dysregulation, hormonal system imbalance, dental issues, autonomic nervous system issues, dysregulation, nutritional problems, respiration, cardiovascular issues, blood flow, sleep, genetics, oxidative stress, mitochondrial issues, musculoskeletal issues. So these contribute to the chronic disease symptoms. And then at the biochemical level, it would be things like deficiencies of minerals, vitamins, hydration, essential fatty acids, electrons, voltage. And then there'll be toxicities like heavy metals, organic phosphates, persistent organic phosphates, biotoxins, EMF, dirty electricity, and then it's geopathic stress. So that feeds into this triangle. And then it's the emotional imbalance piece. So stress and negative emotions, we know it can impact on the autonomic nervous system regulation. Then it's also this thing called, this concept of destructive cellular memories. Okay, so when we are exposed to stress, it's not just our heart and our head that gets affected by the stress, but the cells remember the stress. And there will always be like little antenna switch on to the channel of the trauma on the cell membranes, always looking out for when it's going to happen again. And that is among the three balances here is the emotional imbalance is often the linchpin. Because a lot of times, a person who comes to see me with cancer, the physical imbalance and the biochemical imbalance would have been there for years. And the physical imbalance will feed into the biochemical imbalance and vice versa. But the person is still okay, didn't have a problem. But when the emotional imbalance comes in, then everything falls apart. Okay, and usually there's always a story. 3 to 5 years prior to that happening, there was a story about something that caused stress or cellular memory issues. Okay. So now this is a picture of biochemistry. And you can see how complicated it is. And I don't pretend to understand everything. And I don't, and even the genetics of the SNPs that cause us, certain enzymes that drive certain processes. I don't pretend to understand this. Okay, but at the same time, I appreciate that this more than 200,000 biochemical reactions occurring within each cell every second. And it occurs like clockwork. We do not have to micromanage it, but it happens all the time. So who's the conductor of this perfect, magnificent orchestra? Okay, that's playing the beautiful symphony of life for us. So the biofield is the conductor of the orchestra of life. And the biofield is the God field or the love field. So when we are aligned with love, when we are aligned with the God field, then we are in coherence, and that is ordered. Okay, coherence means what I think, what I believe, what I feel, what I do is all congruent. Okay, and when we are ordered and coherent, then there is energetic order, physiological balance, function of the organ system, and health and well-being. Conversely, if we are not aligned, so we are double-minded, our heart thinks one way and our head thinks one way and our action is another way, then it's disordered and it's incoherent. And there will be dissonance, energetic disorder, physiological imbalance, dysfunction of the organ system, and then the development of disease. So symptoms indicate disorder, a disharmony or misalignment in our internal or external environment. It is a distortion of the biofield. Okay, and when there's a hiccup or distortion of the field, then you can know that the biochemical process will go into the way of more pro-inflammation rather than for rest, restore, repair. So the body is not stupid. It is always doing the best it can for you in any situation. So when we reach a point of an overt symptom like pain or nausea, the body has already gone through the stages of dissonance, energetic disorder, physiological imbalance, dysfunction of organ system, and the development of disease. Sickness is never random nor bad luck. It is this process happening all the time. So from that background, I have sort of concluded that for healing to happen, and it can happen, you need basic fundamentals. You need 3 basic fundamentals, and they are cell energy, information and communication, and structure and raw material. So in cell energy, the foundational elements would be we need to look at supporting the mitochondria. We need to support cell membrane health and also mitochondrial membrane health, dental issues because of the meridian lines all flow to the dental points, and therefore if there is a issue in the dental area like a cavitation or a root canal, that whole system might be down like a short circuit breaker. And musculoskeletal, because we know that the muscles, fascia, they're piezoelectric, and movement actually generates energy. So I'll be looking at things like breathing, oxygenation, nitric oxide production, blood flow, membrane voltage, charge, optimizing that, optimizing omega-6 to 3 ratio, exercise, meridian energy flow, and myofascial release. Okay. Raw materials. Okay, so we need raw materials to heal. And when we talk about raw materials, you need to look at the gut, how well is the gut functioning, digestion, absorption, elimination. But we also need to look at toxicity, because when we have toxins in our body, there's oxidative stress, and that takes up a lot of resources, So, and if we can minimize the oxidative stress, then we don't need so many raw materials because there's less, to rebuild. And of course, then toxicity comes hand in hand with detoxification. How good are our detoxification organs, right? Liver, the kidneys, the gut, lymphatics, and the skin. So here we need to look at nutrition, deficiencies in vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, and electrons. And then the third fundamental is information. And that's the most important. And what's highlighted here in red is the most important part of information, which is optimizing the autonomic nervous system, right, to come into physiological safety, right? And here is also the biofield. It is the most important information that we need to give to our cell. But besides that, there is things like the microbiome, heaps of information that we gather from our microbiome that actually helps, speak to our immune system. And decreasing the inflammation in our immune system is part of the information. Hormones is a downstream information that we give to our body. Genetics or the epigenetics, of what genes get switched on. Toxins provide bad information. In fact, they are great distortions of the biofield. Emotions, especially fear, also distorts the biofield. Okay, EMF, geopathic stress. So these things also distort the field. Other things of information, we would know that we need structured water to carry the information. pH and voltage is also important. for information transfer, tight junction integrity of all our tight junctions, including the gut, but also the skin cells, and the blood-brain barrier. Microbiome diversity is very important. And emotions, working on emotions to release depression, anxiety, anger, resentment, bitterness, and unforgiveness is important. And I've got a cell blueprint that helps me understand where the issues might lie. So I use that to help me discern this. So what are my strategies for cell energy? So if you look, where the Zinzino products come in, they come in at cell energy because they're so important for membrane health, but also in the raw materials, as well as information. Okay, because gut health is so important for right information going to the body. But of course, I use other strategies as well, like the foundations to health would be like sleep, exercise, sun exposure, light therapy, breath work, the nitric oxide dump from Dr. Zach Bush that increases nitric oxide just by doing these simple 4-minute exercises. Information here would be prayer, a relationship, a growing, active, real relationship with God. I use like the structured things to structure water. I use a lot of EFT. The Nest Health System is very good at optimizing the biofield as well. The healing codes. Community is very important. Good toothpaste is important to support microbiome. And I have a online program called Growing in Faith Together, the GIFT program, that helps people, teach people the nuts and bolts of how to grow in their faith, in themselves, in their body, and in God. So the healing strategy. So a systems health approach would be, so the input, this input would have components of optimizing cell energy, raw materials, and information. And then when it goes into the system, the process, and the output, okay? And the output is all about function, okay? Because a lot of times, if we focus on a number or a perfect blood test, it's not the same as function. And I rather get my patients or myself to focus on function. So it's about how big your playing field is. We are all born with a big playing field, and as we grow older, because of diseases, because of fatigue, because of degeneration, our playing field becomes smaller and smaller. And a lot of us become content with playing in a small playing field, and it's because all my friends, my peers are also in that small playing field, so that's fine. But the problem with this is that as your playing field becomes smaller, your resilience, your buffer becomes smaller as well. So I much prefer the patients to aim high and say, look, I want to expand my playing field to as big as possible. Yeah, even though my peers might be wanting to play in the smaller playing field, I want to be able to play at the far corner of the field, for the heck of it. Or I want to still be able to play there, even if I choose to be in the smaller field most of the time. And that the difference is your resilience, okay, which comes into play when if we meet a crisis, injury or some kind of a health infection. If we have that buffer, we can bounce back faster. So systems health approach provides the structure to get you to a consistent health faster, better, and more consistently, bouncing back easily when off balance. So my job with the patient is, first, I help them define the goal. What kind of function are they after? And I want them to aim high. I don't want them to just think of just health recovery or disease resolution, but really aspiring high, to dream big for their health. Okay. And then what I do with them is I help them recognize the disturbances that threaten their goal, or the output that might be affected by disturbances, challenges in their life, what they are, and not to be afraid of them, but to work with it to build up a more resilient system. And also work on their sensor, to make sure that they are very sensitive to how their bodily organs are feeling, so that they can be more responsive to supporting the body as things happen. Okay, and this is then fed back to the input, so that the input is well adjusted, so that we can be very sure that we get an output that's close to our goal. So this is systems health approach. So from this way of looking at health, it's very easy to then be able to adjust accordingly, so that we don't lose sight of our goal. So at the end of the day, what we are trying to do here is, I'm doing for my patients, is to build happy, healthy cells. Okay, and what does happy, healthy cells need? So happy, healthy cells need good voltage potential across their cell membranes, healthy cell membranes that has enough fluidity and active transporters to allow good stuff to come into the cells and toxins to be released from the cells. It needs to have enough omega-3 to be able to act quickly to any oxidative stress that's within the cytosol because of toxins exposure, right? And that the more active, the more effective we are in putting out the fire as it happens, the less wastage we have of nutrients. So we know that, if the cell membranes are not healthy, then nutrients get in slowly and waste products cannot get out. Yeah, but when we optimize the cell membranes, then nutrients get in easily, waste products get out. And the other thing is, the cell membranes are very important in sensing the internal and external environment, and we want it to be as responsive as we can. And we want the body to have the right measure of response, not an over-inflamed state. So I just want to illustrate this by talking about a specific cell. So want to impact the endothelial cell, right? So it's very important to have healthy endothelial cells, because it determines blood flow and oxygenation to all our organs. Okay, so it's not just about the heart attack and the stroke that we are trying to prevent, but most diseases happen, like the dementia, the kidney failure, the liver issues, the brain fog, all happens because of poor blood flow. And all causes of endothelial glycocalyx damage will contribute to the hypertension, the coronary artery disease, and any other disease that oxygenation is a major contributing factor. Okay, so what is this vascular endothelial glycocalyx? So if this is endothelial cell, on the cell membranes, there's this thing like these little branches coming out of it called the glycocalyx. And the glycocalyx is a sensing kind of a structure that senses the environment. And when it senses well the environment, it will actually produce nitric oxide. But if it gets damaged because of things like high salt intake, hypertension, smoking, reactive oxygen species from oxidative stress or heavy metals or biotoxins, then it gets damaged, or high sugar levels, it gets damaged. And when it gets damaged, then you get leaky endothelial cells, and then this is where you get the atherosclerosis. Okay, fortunately, we've got products that can actually preempt this quite well, right? I like to use the Ion Biome product from Dr. Zach Bush. This is good for the tight junctions. But Zinzino balance oil, at least I'm so relieved to find a fish oil finally that can actually I can confidently use, that can optimize the omega-6 to 3 ratio. And the ZinoBiotic, because it helps with the tight junctions in the gut, it will also help the tight junctions in the endothelial cells, and it will support the mitochondrial function with the short chain fatty acids. And even this Collagen Boozt is not just about the skin and the connective tissue, the hyaluronic acid in the Collagen Boozt is actually the major component of the glycocalyx. So I suspect that this Collagen Boozt is going to be really very beneficial to our endothelial cells as well. So that comes to the end of my talk. So I hope, that this sharing has given you a bit more of help you focus a little bit more on your health strategy. And then I'll just give a short testimonial of this health approach. So this is a picture of my family at the Harvey Bay Marathon just passed in June. So that's myself and my husband, Kenny. And we ran the half marathon. The children were there just to support us. So Kenny, 60 years old. He had a heart attack 10 years ago. And it was quite a bad one. He had an ejection fraction of 35%. Even now, his ejection fraction, that means the quality of the heart beating is 49%, but he feels really good. And, running there was not a problem. I think the only thing that let him down was the cramps. And here I am. I'm 57 years old. I had Graves' disease, Hashimoto disease since 18 years old. And I became overtly hypothyroid at 34 years old. So I was on thyroxine, thyroid medication for 22 years. And in 2024, based on all these strategies, I was able to wean myself off the thyroid medications and feeling really good. So yeah, so that's the testimonial, of how this strategy can actually works, and it's not difficult. So you want to live fully, you have to be healthfully, and you need to heal your life so that you can live your purpose. So yes, it's all about love, because perfect love casts out fear, right? And fear is the biggest distortion of our biofield, okay? And fear is driven by lies. And the truth is, God's perfect will is for you to be in health. So, and when we come to this truth, then we will know what to ask and what to seek and what doors to knock. And so when I met Maggie 2 years ago at the conference, the Zinzino product, I was gravitated to it, because I was already seeking things like this. So I hope this has been helpful to you in terms of understanding my health strategy, and hope that helps you to with your strategy.